Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
There she is in Monroe live. If you're watching Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and it is pronounced Monroe, not Monroe.
For sure.
Yeah. Koach Katlyn Bryan with a speaker, author, a wife, mother, and she and her husband pastor a church there. And see, I thought it was in between. And for those of you that are, what's an in between? There is a little town called In Between, and it's between Monroe and Loganville.
Wait,
right?
There's actually a town called In Between.
100%. That's 100%
Seriously?
true. It's a literal town.
Yeah. In fact, I've been past the sign a number of times, but I don't remember. I think it was founded like in 1848 or something.
A bunch of men got together and were like, I don't know what to call this town. It's just
in between Monroe.
You know, we had a couple in our church years ago, but we're in Loganville, and they lived in between. Now they live in Monroe somewhere. And they said there's actually a mayor of In Between. And I thought, wow, it's not that big, but someday it'll be huge.
It will.
So let's talk, before we get into it now, we want to talk about the Koach Katlyn Show. And of course, the baby is growing. I can't believe the baby is 20. In fact, I really shouldn't call him a baby. He's not a baby anymore.
He's a toddler.
Oh, a total toddler, totally counting, totally knowing his alphabet. He can count to 10. Totally so cute, so charming. And I'm not biased in any way, but he's the cutest kid, honestly.
And you said he's super smart, so he's just like his mom. So
exactly.
Yeah.
He got his mother's brains, thank goodness. But he got his daddy's good looks. So that's a good balance.
That young man is very, very cute and handsome. At what age do you get? Now, see, I forget because I have all men now. My boys are all not boys, they're men. When do you start getting Legos, Dan? Would they be getting Legos pretty soon and stepping on them?
You never get Legos, so you don't risk stepping on them. That's the thing.
And now, I will say he has tons of Legos and he builds all the time. But when we moved, we got him a room big enough to where all of his toys are in one room. So it actually looks like adults live here now.
Okay.
Because before it was just toys everywhere.
Yeah.
Now
smart.
we keep those in there. So, if he steps on them, it's on him.
Yeah, these days I don't step on many toys. I step on the cat usually, but not.
And usually you know it right away when you do step on the cat.
Oh, right? Yeah. Oh, yes, I do. That's why they call me Lefty. Katlyn Bryan with us. We love hanging with her and just doing so much stuff. All right, let's talk a little bit about the show. What's going on with the show there?
Yeah, so if you can believe it, God really laid it on my heart to create a real modern show. It's the Koach Katlyn Show. It's on WATC TV, local here to Atlanta, on Thursdays at 9 a.m. And then it's on Life Network for Women with Paula White, which is on demand and app at 11 a.m. on Thursdays. And it premieres every single week and is on demand on the Koach Katlyn YouTube channel. So you can watch those shows there. But I wanted to create a platform to where I could coach people in different topics, in different settings. So sometimes I'm straight teaching, and a lot of times I bring in expert co-hosts to come on to discuss different topics, different things that are relevant to where people are and what they're doing. For instance, we have an episode coming up with Rebecca Keener. It's coming up this Thursday. And we are talking about mentorship. She was a mentor in my life. And so we'll be talking about mentorship, how people can find mentors. In a few weeks, we're talking to my dad. I pulled him on, and we're going to talk about different areas of why fatherhood is so important and how people of single homes, people with no father, people who had bad fathers, or people who are fathers can be encouraged. So it's really a platform, a modern, exciting, upbeat platform to discuss and coach you right there from the television.
Katlyn, what kind of stuff are you hearing from folks who are watching the show? Because you've done shows in the past. You're not new to TV. You've done this a lot before, but kind of doing something a little bit different. What are you hearing from folks?
So what I've been hearing a lot from folks is and I don't mean this in a bad way, but I have gotten tons of feedback to say, like, it is so nice to see something like pink and bright and upbeat on Christian television.
Yeah.
And it's really a network. So Oprah, if you're watching, sign me. I could totally be on my own network. But it's really something that's not just for Christian television, because statistics show us that 53% of people will never come to church. They'll never come to church. And so my vision and what I'm hearing from people is it's topics that, even if you have never been to church, you're listening because you want to learn how to be a great parent. You want to learn how to have more confidence. You want to learn how to have a great marriage. You want to learn how to be a great parent. You want to learn how to set goals and reach them. And so it's a show that anybody feels comfortable reaching. And then, of course, we have the faith values in the background, and we do openly talk about faith, but these are subjects that people in real life are dealing with. The only subject we're not going to talk about is inflation, because I don't even know how to deal with that. So we're not going to talk about inflation, but we're going to talk about everything else. And it's really a show that is very modern. And that's what I'm hearing from people. People are saying, I would like, this is a show I feel like I could stream on Netflix, or I could watch on any network, TLC or a different network. I'm giving shameless plugs, so if you're watching, you can go ahead and sign the Koach Katlyn Show to those networks.
Well, and I think this is about the time that Oprah watches our show. So you're right.
Exactly.
You just never know.
Yeah,
never
right
know.
there. Koach Katlyn Bryan, we're talking about the Koach Katlyn Show, and also not only on WATC, but you can find that. I know we have DirecTV, and it's on there. I can't remember the channel. You can Google it. That's what I usually do. If I'm looking for something, I'll say, okay, what channel on Direct? Or if you're a Dish or wherever you are, you can catch the show. It is a great show. So
Rick, if I can, let me show you something here, because she mentioned the pink couch.
Oh, wow.
And how people love it. There's the pink. Is that the pink couch?
It is the pink couch.
Now we need that in our lobby, Rick. I mean,
I really think it would really up level Faith Talk with Rick and Dan if y'all had pink couches.
I mean, it looks soft and
sure.
comfy, and it's our color, definitely.
I love
Absolutely.
that. Yeah. So check out the show. You'll get to see the pink couch, and also walk away with just some really great stuff. So this is a kind of a new venture in a sense, where you're well, I mean, you've been a teacher and a speaker. That's your sweet spot, really.
Right.
But when you bring people on a show, that's a whole nother animal, isn't it?
It is. But I find it so interesting. So I think, as you all in your role know, that people's stories are interesting. And what I found is that I really want my show to be a place of diversity. I want somebody to look on and say, oh, they've been through this. So I did a great show with, and Aisha Dancy.
Yeah.
She came on and we talked about going from a teen pregnancy to a successful businesswoman. And so really showing diversity, showing different people in there. I love having different people, because I think that we can, instead of butting heads with different perspectives, we can learn from others' different perspectives. And, sometimes I am enough to admit that, maybe my teaching, my perspective on talking on certain topic to be like, oh, that's cool. Okay. But if I have another guest on there who you're like, wow, they obviously know about this topic. It's just been so valuable that I can bring in topics that I'm not an expert on, but I can bring expert co-host on and we can discuss it, and it can help people.
Love that. Koach Katlyn Bryan, we're talking about the show. And we got to get Aisha back. I see her on Facebook all the time. She's everywhere. Is she in another country now? She's opened a business there or something? Have you seen
I have
that?
no clue, but I think Dan would obviously know. I think it's somewhere tropical. So Dan's obviously there.
She might be on that opposite beach behind me over there. I'll have to go check it out and see.
And that's her husband hang gliding there. If you can see right there, over there. Okay.
There we go.
Katlyn Bryan with us. Katlyn, we have a lot of pastors' wives that listen to the show, watch the show, and you play an amazing role. You and your husband pastor a church in Monroe, and it is and no surprise, it's growing. We're living in a different time church-wise, as you mentioned. People don't show up anymore. It's kind of hard to get people to show up. People are showing up at your place. Talk about your role staying encouraged, how you encourage other folks, and what you see the future as, let's talk about church. What do you think church will be like within the next 5 years, 10 years?
Gosh, I wish you would have asked me a hard question.
Just make it up.
I feel like my number one role right now, being a mom, having ministry, I get to be a mouthpiece to our church to encourage our women's ministry, support my husband, support our, navigate carrying a toddler to church, which is always fun.
Yeah, good luck with that.
But I get to speak and play that role, and I get to teach and preach and really just encouraging our leaders to do the work of the ministry. But for me, I believe truly that the church in the future, the church of now, is going to be twofold. Right now, I think that there are so many problems going on in the world that people need a real touch. And I think that there is going to come, and I already think we're seeing it. People are tired of going to church online, and people are going to start having real problems that they don't know how to navigate. And so the church's job is going to be to talk about things that people are dealing with. A big topic right now is mental health. The other week on Atlanta Live, when I was hosting, I had a guest pastor who has done a whole series for parents to have conversations, to navigate those conversations with their kids on mental health. So if a church is helping you parent your kids through mental health, as we're seeing child suicide rates go up, then you're meeting a real need. If we're in the church, people are coming to church and saying, my marriage is better, then people are going to come to church because they want their marriage to be better. And so I think that when we start as a church in the next 5 years, if we want people to come to the church, we're going to have to start talking about more real life issues and not just like, come worship, come to us. But another factor is that we're going to have to be, I love what my mentor, my friend, John Maxwell says. He says, we've got to be the pastors, not of our churches, but of our communities. How are we serving our communities? Because I think that people want a relationship before they'll ever come into the church. Again, it's that statistic of 53% of people will never come to church unless they have a relationship. And so it's serving our communities and being a light in our communities. And I think that people will come to church when they know somebody. Like I wouldn't go I want to know somebody, but we have to train the people in our church for the work of the ministry and to get outside the walls, not coming to church just for them, but to serve their community. And if you're the church of your community, when people have those moments where they need a healing, they need prayer, they need community, they're going to come to you because they know you.
There you go. Straight from her mouth. CoachKatlyn.com. Good stuff.
Yes. Yeah. And I will say that I have to do a shameless plug. So I have the privilege of working with John Maxwell and the Equip organization, and Equip is his nonprofit organization. And this year alone, they've seen 79,000 people come to Christ. That's not just, we're counting these things. This is, we know their name, email, their address, and they have a curriculum called Beyond Success, which is a free resource to pastors in churches. That's an evangelism tool and small group that anybody can lead and facilitate. And that's at iequip.org.
Wow. Awesome.
John Maxwell, what a legend. One of my favorite stories. This was when I can't remember if it was when he was in San Diego or Indiana when he was pastoring the church. It may have been both because it's something that he did. When people would come into the church, and the one in San Diego, because we lived in San Diego, we didn't go.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we didn't go to his church. We were on staff at another church, but his church was unbelievable. It was amazing. But anyway, so we started reading his books and attending his conferences. And one of my favorite stories is when he would greet people. Back then, he'd have a Polaroid, which now it's like we have our smartphones, right? But he had a Polaroid, and he would have their picture taken, write their name down, first and last name, and he would memorize their face and their names and keep it on a ring. In fact, his ring got so big with pictures, I think he had to get another ring, a bunch of rings. And so he would greet people because he felt like that if you knew their name, because a name is very important. When somebody calls you by name, there's a intimate connection there. It makes them feel important and respect. And I thought, wow, so simple, but this is so genius. And he did that. And sure enough, I mean, he he memorized all these people, and I guess he didn't need their picture on his ring after that. But just a people person, period, which is one of my favorite John Maxwell books, being a people person. So good stuff there. Have you had a chance to? No doubt you've probably talked to him maybe every now and then, or met him. Sure.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time with him. Been on several trips with him. I get to speak on behalf of the Equip organization to churches, and yeah, spent a lot of time with him. Been to his house for dinner, different things like that. But he is a remarkable person, and what he teaches walks slowly through the crowd. People feel connected to him, and it really goes back to the phrase, "People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care," and that ties back into that's the church. If you want your churches to grow, people have to feel like a person that you care about, not a number. Mm-hmm. Not like, hey, we want our church. Like the worst phrase ever is, how many y'all running now? Like what? No, right. We're running them out with that.
Very true.
But really caring about people, and that's what people need now. They just need a hug. Yeah. And people who say, I'm genuinely praying for your family and care about you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, people know if they're cared for or if they're a number. If somebody treats me like a number, you show up in some places in public and they treat you like a number, you know it. You know you're a number. You're not that important. And if you're missing, they forget about you. But that's what it's all about. Mm-hmm. Coach Katlyn, check out the show. Check out the church. What's the website for the church?
The praisecenter.net is the church, and CoachKatlyn.com. If you want to just check out CoachKatlyn.com, I'm taking speaking engagements now for women's conferences and different events. And then right there's a link to the show that you can subscribe to the YouTube channel there. Check out all the ways you can partner with us on the Koach Katlyn Show.
Katlyn, thanks for hanging with us. We'll catch up with you in a few months. Maybe we'll run into you at Scoops in Monroe.
Hey, I have a son who's obsessed with ice cream, and it's right next to the kids' bookstore. So perfect. Yes, let's do it.
Love that. We got to take a break. We'll be right back. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
This is Faith Talk Live.